Hello and happy Thursday. Lynn here with her retirement for my weekly Lunch and Learn live, where we talk about being happier, healthier, and wealthier. And I'm sporting my new glasses. I need to get the anti-reflective ones so they don't bounce off the light here from my computer. But anyway, I'm going to look at some things, so I definitely need these readers. And I used to tease my brothers about a year ago that I didn't need readers, and here I am a year later, and I need them. So if you have to wear them, you might as well have some fashionable ones, right? I actually got these readers for $24 in a Gunkwit at a cute little gift shop, and I was like, okay, I need to get those. So far, I can see with them, and all is good. But this week, what I wanted to talk about was what I'm calling a countdown to retirement, or your work optional lifestyle, right? Because that is the whole point, is that we create the foundations, the financial foundations and the non-financial foundations that allow us to have the freedom to live a work optional lifestyle. So in those years, those traditional retirement years, you may not want to retire. You may want to do some kind of work, whether it's work for a volunteer organization, like I volunteer as on the board of directors for what's called the Fairbanks House. It's the oldest wooden timber frame house in North America. That's one of my volunteer efforts. But whether you want to volunteer or you want to start a business, like the people that I'm supporting in my new group, Never Too Late to Launch. It's a group for women over 50, a community to support women as they prepare for and launch their business enterprises, whether they're small or they want to go big. My Never Too Late to Launch group is there to support them. But if you want to start a business, if you want to continue to consult for your current employer or go off and create a consulting business based on those years of experience, that's up to you. That's why we call it a work optional lifestyle. But regardless of whether you plan to retire, semi-retire, or in some cases, never retire, you should definitely put some things in place. So today I want to talk about what those things are, those steps that you should take on that countdown to the retirement lifestyle you desire, the work optional lifestyle. So I'm going to go high level first, and I'm going to talk about a 5-year, 3-year, and 2-year to go countdown. And I will supply a link to these documents because they're actual checklists and sheets. So I'm going to go over the 5, 3, and 2-year countdown first. And then there's going to be a 1-year and a 6-month. Okay. So if you're watching, you don't have to worry about taking notes because you can access this countdown in the links after I post this live video. Okay. But definitely, reach out in the chat if you have any questions. So let's jump into it, because given the amount of time we have today, I may go into a more in-depth, what I call pre-retirement checklist, which goes into a lot more detail on the things that you need to do before you pull the trigger on retirement or leave that full-time place of employment. So let's do this. 5 years to go. You want to consider your life after retirement. You want to calculate retirement spending and income. Very important. And my retirement readiness platform, within her retirement, when I work with people, coaching and guiding them, it's a portal basically where you can go in and calculate your retirement spending and your retirement income sources and determine your gaps. So very important, but I've created a software to help people do this. Keep track of your net worth. Also in my software platform, you can keep track of your net worth and utilize retirement calculators just to get a sense and basic projections. Again, in my retirement readiness software platform, I provide these retirement calculators as well. Now, this particular countdown starts at 5 years, but some people should start well, actually preparing for retirement, you should start with your first job, right? Start saving. But preparing for retirement in this sense is really putting things in place that will allow you to consider leaving your workplace, and get those things in place. So these are just things that you should do on a timeline. Now, if you want to start preparing 10 years out, I do have a checklist on 10 years out what you should be doing, because I do get asked, like, hey, Lynn, when should I really start focusing and preparing for retirement? Well, I think at the very least 5 years. But sometimes people want to do some things at 10 years out. There's some specific strategies that you should be considering at 10 years out. So if you want access to that countdown, definitely reach out to me at lynnt@herretirement.com. All right, so that's 5 years. Okay, let's go to 3 years. You want to keep track of your spending. For your portfolio, aim for 30 times your spending. So that's amassing the amount of money in your portfolio, 30 times your spending. You also want to make a debt reduction strategy. So if you have some debt, bad debt, you want to work on reducing that strategy. Some people also make kind of this sprint where they double up or triple up if they can on their mortgage payments, because they want to go into this retirement phase of life without a mortgage. I have some different opinions on that, but again, this is all personal finance, right? Every decision you make has to be personalized to you. There is no generic one size fits all type of advice, other than save as much as you can, spend as little as possible, and enjoy life, right? We want to enjoy life. I'm not one of those people that believe we should be so restrictive in our lifestyle for a future that we don't know, one, if that future is going to exist and in what form or format. You want to enjoy every single minute. That was really good sage advice from my mother. Enjoy today, but also be as prepared as possible for tomorrow. So after you make a debt reduction strategy, examine your long-term care insurance. And this is one of the things that is in the 10-year checklist, or before that, is getting a long-term care policy in place if it's something that you want to mitigate the risk of, and you can afford to mitigate the risk of needing long-term care help. Next is recognizing your Social Security alternatives. Okay, just start to get educated about what your Social Security alternatives are and what part Social Security will play in your retirement income paycheck. 2 years to go. Make a mini retirement plan. So kind of like a straw man, right? Just create a mini retirement plan. If you're partnered up, have a husband or a wife, definitely review that mini retirement plan. Check in with each other, see if you're on the right page. Examine your alternatives for post-retirement insurance. So oftentimes people retire before 65, before Medicare kicks in. If you're going to retire at 62 or stop working where you get insurance benefits, you need to be able to cover that gap of a few years of insurance costs. Next is create a bridge from your current account to your retirement account. All right. So oftentimes, having that bridge in place is really important, because maybe you don't want to start withdrawing funds from your retirement savings accounts for one reason or another. Perhaps Social Security is that bridge. Perhaps your 401k savings is your bridge to Social Security. There's a lot of different strategies for creating that bridge, and that's where a retirement advisor can help you. Consider your post-retirement goals. So lifestyle goals, financial goals, like what is it that you want to do in retirement? Like I said, maybe you want to fully retire, maybe you want to semi-retire, maybe you don't want to retire, and you're just looking to retire from what you're doing now, okay? Spend time in regions in your community, in your state, in the United States, in another country, to figure out where you might want to retire. Sometimes we don't have choices. Well, we always have choice, but sometimes we are, we're kind of like, oh, I want to live next to the grandkids, or as close as possible to the grandkids, within driving distance, or, maybe I want to get as far away from my kids as possible. Everybody's different, but go give it a test drive, right? Go, stay in an Airbnb in another state, another country, another city, and take it for a test drive. I know some people that take like 3 to 6 month sabbaticals to go try it out, try out retirement, see how it feels, right? And that really, really can help you plan for those 20, 30, maybe even 40 years in retirement. This is an interesting one. Create a password manager. So really important to make sure all of your passwords and information are well documented in case the brain starts to go seriously. I have an emergency, I call it a personal information and emergency planner. It's like 90 to 100 pages. It has all of your information, all your personal information, financial information, lifestyle information, end of life wishes, has a password manager in there. It can be a PDF that you fill out online, or you can download it, handwrite all the information into this planner / binder, and then you can keep it somewhere safe, share it with your partner, your spouse, your kids, whatever you want to do, share it with your lawyer. It's got all of the information. Those end of life wishes are so very important. My niece actually just had a conversation with her father about my brother, about his end of life wishes, because they hadn't had that conversation. Now he's 64 and he's doing okay, but she was like, I need to know what dad wants, because I've never had this conversation with him. So this makes it in writing, and it gets you organized, and you can see where your gaps are and what's missing, so that in the event someone needs to take over and carry on, keep calm and carry on, this emergency binder / planner is so valuable. So I have one for her at heremergencyplanner.com. So again, heremergencyplanner.com. It's like $27 for a download. Or I have one for his and her, or him and her, I guess it is. And you can access that at heremergencyplanner.com. So if you're coupled up, family, then you can do the planner together, and it will be a combined effort. All right, 1 year to go. Woohoo! If you're downsizing your home, set a date for the sale of your home. All right, and start preparing your home for that sale. All right, update your estate documents to reflect your post-retirement circumstances. So oftentimes estate documents are optimized or prepared around pre-retirement, and things change. That's why you should update them every 5 years, and you want to make sure your healthcare proxies and your beneficiaries are all updated, as well as your will and your trust. And speaking of, if you need a trust and or a will, definitely check out my program that I offer. You can go to herlegacy.com, and on herlegacy.com, there is access to that planner that I just told you about. There's a e-class on estate planning. There's a guide to estate planning, and then there is a link to an online will and trust company that I have vetted, and they're very good, and you can access them through that website. So go to herlegacy.com and make sure all of your stuff is updated and you understand the basics of estate planning before you meet with an attorney, I recommend, because then you can have more educated conversations and you can make more educated decisions. All right. So that's what that's designed for. Next, create a retirement withdrawal plan. So how are you going to take your money from your 401k or IRA? This is one of the number one questions I get asked by women is how, I've accumulated this nest egg. Now what do I do? How do I withdraw from it? Well, there are some different withdrawal strategies, and a retirement advisor can help you understand what is the best withdrawal strategy for you. There's things like systematic withdrawal strategies. There's bucketing withdrawal strategies. There's the straight line 4% withdrawal strategy. I like determining your expenses figuring out your income sources, figuring out the gap, which is typically filled from your 401ks and your IRAs. See if you have enough in those retirement savings accounts to cover that gap. If you don't, there are some strategies that can help you close the gap, and I talk about those in my free masterclass. So if you go to herretirementclass.com, you can sign up for my free 1-hour retirement masterclass, and I talk about some of those strategies, and they don't involve having to work if you really don't want to work in retirement. Now, that may be something you'll end up having to do, but at least you can look at some other strategies before saying, crap, I got to go work. I don't want to. I'm tired of working. I'm tired of having a boss. I'm tired of commuting, whatever it is, the stress, the people, whatever. There may be some strategies that can help you not have to work. Okay, so go check out my retirement masterclass. And when you're figuring out that withdrawal plan, obviously, you've never retired before, I guess, in theory. You've never had to figure out, okay, how do I take all this money I've been saving in my retirement plan and create a paycheck? Do I just set up a withdrawal every month? Like, what are the logistics? And that's where a retirement advisor is worth his or her weight in gold. Next is you want to plan your Social Security timing claiming strategy. So you want to get that projection, figure out if it makes sense to take it at 62 at full retirement age or wait till 70. Lots of questions that are going to help you get to the right answer. There are some questions, and I have that in a decision tree on when you should claim Social Security. And I have a whole kit on Social Security, hersocialsecurity.com. It's got a decision tree. It's got a e-class, lots of guides to help women make the best decision for them and their families. All right, finally, in 1 year to go, consider Roth IRA rollovers if you have a pre-tax IRA. Now, I will say that, Roth IRA rollovers or conversions aren't for everybody. So you need to talk to a retirement advisor who is really good and understands tax planning for retirement. All right, like CPAs, I'm sure there's many CPAs out there who understand this, but most CPAs kind of look at history and they see what's gone on in the past, and then they do your tax return. And you need some forward-thinking retirement tax planning. Go check out taxsmartretiree.com if you would like to get more knowledgeable about taxes. There's a tax quiz there that you can take to test your taxes and retirement knowledge. So you can go check out taxsmartretiree.com to learn more about tax planning. All right. 6 months to go. Woo, we're getting down to the wire. We're getting anxious. Maybe we're getting excited. Maybe we're getting stressed. But it's so important not to go into this without a plan. I had a woman call me probably a couple of months back, and she was like, I just retired. What should I do with my 401k? It's like, dang, I was thinking in the back of my mind, I wish she called me like 3 to 5 years ago. And so she wouldn't be reacting to this transition, whether it was her choice or not. You want to be prepared. So I always say to people, maybe you feel comfortable in your job and, you think you're going to be there for, 3, 5, 10 years more. But what if something happens and the company shuts down, they have a layoff? You got to have that retirement plan. Okay. All right. So 6 months to go. You need to decide when you want to inform your employer, like how much notice you want to give them. I guess it depends on if you want to try to set up a consulting agreement with them or working part-time to train the younger folks in the company or to share your knowledge. But figure that out and then have the conversation with your employer. Create a personal email address and keep your accounts up to date, right? Because if a lot of people have contacted you through your work email, you're going to lose access to that and you're going to lose those contacts. You want to transfer data from your work computer to your personal PC. So if you've loaded up a bunch of personal stuff on that work computer, make sure you get it transferred. These are very hands-on, practical, logistical things, which are so important and a lot of people overlook. Consider getting a home equity line of credit or a reverse mortgage. A reverse mortgage, you have to be over 62. But a HELOC, Having it in place is an emergency, right? So if you have an emergency, get that HELOC set up before you stop working, because once you stop getting that regular paycheck, it might be more challenging to get that HELOC set up. Again, consider, right? Because this isn't for everybody. It's personal financial advice that you need to get. Okay, these are just general things to consider, to open your mind to and say, you know what, this might be something I should do that I hadn't thought about. We don't know what we don't know, folks. Complete your insurance plans. So you want to not necessarily go out and buy a life insurance plan if you don't have one. I mean, maybe, but go look at all your insurance coverages and make sure you are all set. All right. So do an assessment or work with a retirement advisor who's both investment and insurance licensed. And he or she can look at your entire picture, the whole puzzle, and fit it all together. Okay. Because retirement is a puzzle. And all these things have interdependencies. They're interrelated, all these different components. And then you want to celebrate. Woohoo. And once you retire, or if you know someone who's retiring, part of that celebration, I've got you covered there, because I created a Retirement is Better box. It's a celebratory gift box. It has all kinds of cool stuff in it, practical, fun gifts, something unique, because gosh, these people have worked, and you've worked your whole life for this box of gifts. But seriously, it's a fun, unique way to commemorate and celebrate that special transition, because it is special, and it's way better than just a gold watch. Anyway, you can check out that box at retirementisbetterbox.com. And one of the very cool things that's in there, which is in the practical category, it's a guide in the women's box, because I have one for her and one for him. And the one for women, it's a guide to your first 100 days of retirement. And it's kind of like a journal, inspiration, checklist, ideas, things to help you in that transition of the first 100 days of retirement. In the box for him, I also have a similar kind of guide. It's a little more of a checklist. So, the guys can go through and see all the things that they should be thinking about and doing as they're going through those first days, months of retirement. So those are two practical things that you'll find in the Retirement is Better box. And I'd love to have you check it out. All right. So speaking of check, I'm doing a quick time check. We've been talking here. I've been talking here for about 25 minutes. And I want to dive into a little more depth on that pre-retirement checklist. So the one I just shared with you is a 2-pager. It's got, 5 to 6 bullets under each time segment. This one goes into more depth, and it goes into depth on estate planning, health and medical, making it a good fit, retirement feasibility, and tax planning. So this is my pre-retirement checklist. This was a black and white version, but it is in color, and you'll be able to download it from the notes under this live. And if for some reason you can't find it, you can always reach out to me at lynnt@herretirement.com. So I'm going to go over some checklist items in the estate planning category. And the reason I love all of this is because I believe when you know more, you can have more, and you can live more now and in retirement. So by going through these checklists and preparing yourself, you can kind of take a weight off your shoulder, right? Your shoulders don't have to bear the burden of like, oh my goodness, this retirement thing is coming and I'm not prepared. And, this will allow you to get prepared, have the foundation for a plan so that you can go focus on fun stuff, right? So that you can go be with your friends and your family and play pickleball or hike or play with the grandkids or whatever, because you know that you've paid attention to all these things that may pop up in retirement, and you've put a plan in place, right? Planners are happier, healthier, because they're less stressed, and I think they're wealthier too. All right. So under estate planning, be sure choices made earlier still fit with the current situation. I hit upon that in the other checklist. You want to examine prior decisions like titling property, designating insurance or retirement plan beneficiary. So important. Granting someone power of attorney. You want to reevaluate everything, okay? Don't leave any stone unturned. Home, cars, other possessions that go to joint owners or designated beneficiaries, things that aren't indicated in a will. And titles must be accurate in the case of property held in a trust. So you just got to go through everything. Every major life transition, like when you had kids, you had to go through everything, right? Reevaluate things. Get a new job, reevaluate things. Have your estate plan refreshed if you have a blended family situation. Maybe you have a significant other and partner and stepkids and this and that. You need to intentionally decide what to leave your spouse, children, stepchildren. So you want to reevaluate that. You want to safeguard any inheritance for your spouse or your kids. Say in the event your surviving partner remarries, like there's all these, complicated situations. So you want to make sure the legacy of your children is secured if the second marriage ends in divorce. You want to consider ages, lifestyles, other factors of your heirs that might influence their capability to manage the inheritances. So how are those set up? How are they managed? What's the oversight of those? Let your loved ones know where to find those important documents, and that's why the HER Emergency Planner is such a valuable tool. And for $27, it's a no-brainer. It's going to get you organized, and it's going to have a plan that your family can follow. They'll know what you wanted, okay, and what you have, and where to find it all. Make a contingency plan for disablement or impairment. I was actually out to dinner with some clients the other night, and it came up, and I just said, have you guys worked on that plan? If you become incapacitated or, one of you ends up with dementia and can't make good financial decisions. And so I'm actually working on a document that goes into a lot more detail on those conversations to have and those things that you should do. But you want to make sure that you select individuals or an individual who is endowed with the authority with a strong power of attorney to manage your business and fiscal matters on your behalf should something happen to you. You also want to make sure that the same person holds the same power of attorney to make decisions for your health, okay? And you need to state your desires regarding like resuscitation, pain management, and other end-of-life matters in a living will. Tough topics, I know, I get it, but very, very important to have under the umbrella of estate planning. Okay, let's talk about health and medical. I'm going to try to move along a little bit faster, but figure out your health insurance options. As I said, make a note of any potential VA benefits. Know your health plan choices in your families. Again, if someone plans to retire before Medicare kicks in at 65, you can think about COBRA. There is a limit of 18 months after you leave your job for which COBRA can be used. And, you may be able to get a less expensive plan through your partner or your state insurance exchange. Maybe you pick up a part-time job. I think I saw at Starbucks, if you work part-time, you get health benefits. You could go to work for, go to usajobs.com, and you can go to work for the government. I want to say you have to work there for 5 years, but then you get health benefits for the rest of your life. I was like, geez, that's not a bad gig. So again, health insurance is a huge expense. It's very much underestimated in retirement. So pay attention to that. And, establish that timeline for your health plan coverage. And, you want to meet with health plan specialists. And good news is I have a couple different options as far as that goes. I have one who's a consultant that you just pay hourly for Medicare and healthcare consulting and helping you make the right decisions. And then I have 2 other companies that help you make those decisions, but they are insurance companies. So they're going to help, take you through all this stuff, all the options, and figure out, what's best for you. And, they aren't, you don't pay them. They get paid a commission from the insurance companies that they connect you with, or the plans. Okay. All right. So let's see what else we got. Lots here. Ask your financial advisor if long-term care insurance is appropriate. So in this case, a retirement advisor who's licensed in both investments and insurance, I think is best, because he or she may have some ideas for how you could pay for a long-term care incident. So you may be able to self-insure depending upon what you have, and it might make sense because of the cost trade-off with what the long-term care policy is going to cost. Or let's say you look at an index universal life with a long-term care rider. That might make long-term care more affordable. Or maybe you look at a reverse mortgage, because you're taking out a reverse mortgage. You can have an income buffer in there, and maybe you use that money, it's a dead asset, leverage the asset of your home. You're just living in it. Leverage that asset to pay for an unexpected expense like a long-term care incident. It might be a cheaper route than long-term care insurance. So definitely consider that. And then get second opinions, right? If you feel like, I'm not sure, I haven't checked all the references of this person, get a qualified second opinion, okay? Take a list of prescriptions to your appointment. So when you're meeting with that insurance person who's going to help you figure out your healthcare, make sure you have a list of your prescriptions, because those can add up to big costs, and you want to make sure that you're picking a plan that can help you with those. Reevaluate your insurance needs. Look at any conversion features that may allow you to keep coverage after you retire. And then, of course, apply for Medicare. You want to apply 3 months before your 65th birthday, but note, if you are already receiving Social Security, you will be automatically enrolled in Medicare. All right. So I do have a Medicare webinar / workshop that you can take and learn all about your different options for Medicare. And that's available on the Her Retirement website. Basically, if there's a topic that you've questioned and you're wondering about, I have the resource to help you get educated about that topic. That's my mission, is to help people get educated about all of this retirement planning stuff. All right. 3, make it a good fit. What do we mean by that? You know what? I want to step back to the health for 1 second, maybe 3. One of the ways to lower your healthcare costs in retirement is to maintain a healthy, fit lifestyle. All right. So if prior to retirement, you just haven't made it a priority, you've been busy, you're just, working and commuting, and there's, you get home, you're exhausted. It's like the last thing you want to do is go to the gym or go downstairs to your gym. Anyway, I get it. Then they're done that. But the way to save money on healthcare is to make sure you are healthy before you go to retirement, right? So establish those healthy habits, because 80 to 90% of our health is within our control. 10 to 20% is genetics. All right. So we are in control. We just have to prioritize. We have to make a commitment, and we have to be consistent. Consistency in life is key. Whether it's your health, your wealth, your happiness, you have to be consistent with the steps you're taking to get happier, healthier, and wealthier. All right. So let's make it a good fit. Make a 100-day plan to improve your connections with those you treasure. Number 1 way to increase your longevity is to establish and maintain those relationships, loved ones, friends, community, whatever it is. Devote more effort to developing a healthier relationship with the people who are dear to you, or the new people you have yet to meet. Having people in your life is so very important, and there's multiple ways that you can do it. And in that first 100 days guide to retirement, I do talk about this, and I make you go through an exercise to establish those strong, or keep those strong connections. Put your ducks in a row, literally. it will help you, get everything in order, right? You can get your ducks in a row by going to heremergencyplanner.com. That will help you get your ducks in a row, okay? And if you get my Retirement is Better box, you don't have to wait till you're retired to get it, but you could also just get my first 100 days guide to retirement. You can go on Amazon and you can search Lynn to me, and you will find all the different things that I've published, but you will find it there and you can order a copy of it. Let's see. 100 day. So yeah, you want to, make a plan to get fit, to be socially active, to reestablish your self-identity in retirement is so important. You want to have that strategy for improving your life, right? In all the different phases of this second chapter, third chapter, final chapter, whatever you want to call it. You want to make sure you have a plan that identifies your purpose, your connections, your contributions, your vitality, and your financial wellness. Think about your skills, your interests, your hobbies, perhaps, that you could maybe turn into a side income. It's one way to make what you have saved last longer by continuing to have an income source, and perhaps passive is a way to do it. So create courses and sell them, create products and sell them on Amazon or Etsy, or with the internet, there's so many ways to create these information products or, lifestyle products and then sell them. That's one way you could do it. But, you could do things locally in your community, like carpentry, or, working at a garden center, or refurbishing classic cars, or, any type of side hustle to just bring in a few extra dollars. I have a friend who actually works at an Airbnb every Sunday morning. And this is an area in Maine, which is lots of tourists. She loves it because she meets so many people, and she used to be an administrative assistant. So she's got the skills, and I'm sure everyone that comes to that Airbnb loves seeing her kind, happy face, and, gives her a few bucks. I think she was like, oh, I made $10,000 last year. And she was so happy. And she called it her pin money. So yeah, if you want some pin money, that's a good way to do it. And very important is you want to make sure your retirement advisor is stress testing your plan, stress testing your numbers, to make sure that regardless of what happens in the market, in the economy, you're still going to be okay. Because if things take a nosedive, you may have gotten accustomed to living a certain lifestyle for a few years into your retirement. Things take a nosedive and your lifestyle has to change drastically. There are some ways that you can protect yourself from those events so that this isn't your retirement lifestyle. This is your retirement lifestyle. So really important to make sure that whoever you're working with is running all of those environments and saying you're going to be okay regardless of what the market does. Or let's talk about ways to protect yourself from that risk of the market or the economics of our country. Look at the benefits your employer provides to avoid leaving money on the table, okay? All the paperwork, maybe looking at, maybe you've worked at a few different employers and you've got IRAs and 401ks spread around. This might be a great time to consolidate them all into your own self-directed IRA, to simplify, to reduce fees, to give yourself more options from an investing perspective. So you want to deal with that. Deal with any debt, as we talked about. Talk through any perils and unlikely contingencies, unfortunate events. Your roof blows off, God forbid, there's a flood, whatever. Like, you need to make sure that you are prepared, whether it's a serious illness or some natural catastrophe, you're able to withstand the pressure of those types of events. And then I think it's a good idea to look at your expenses across different phases of retirement, because I have a 94-year-old father-in-law, and he and his partner aren't doing the trips that they used to do, like going to Israel or going to Florida and, going out and going to eat, and just they're spending a lot less money now in what's called the no-go years, which doesn't sound great, but you can still enjoy every phase of your life. And then they have it like the go-go years where you're just early into retirement and you're going. I have friends / clients that are they are go. We're always like, where in the world are they? Because they are taking advantage. They have lots of mileage, mileage points. They're using it up. They're taking advantage and they're going to see the sights. And then you've got your slow go where you still are going, maybe you're going to Florida for the winter and you're not traveling around the world, or maybe you're hunkering down next to the grandkids for part of the year. These different phases require different expenses. So maybe instead of having flatline expenses, you kind of look at changing expenses, and your plan accounts for those changing phases of retirement and the phased costs and the different expenses. So your plan can accommodate whatever way you want to look at it. A lot of people suggest using a higher than average inflation amount, particularly for healthcare costs, because they are being inflated at a higher rate than the standard inflation rate. I think, 3% has historically been inflation. Maybe you bump that a little higher because I think Medicare went up like 5% this year. Anyway, you want to make sure you're protected and you've accounted for inflation. In my retirement readiness software, we do account for inflation. And consider any expenses that can now be avoided. There's different ways to look at reducing professional memberships and, other things like food and healthcare and house upkeep and things like that. So perhaps those things end up going away. Number 4 is retirement feasibility. Okay. Check out potential Social Security and Medicare choices to see which are best for you. Establish your timeline. Okay. Be specific and very aspirational in your planning. Okay. Just think outside the box, right? Think big. And then you can always bring it back down, right? But think big. This is an opportunity to reinvent, reimagine, go for it. And then bring it down and do it with a spouse so that you can try to be on the same page. Obviously, determining where your retirement income is coming from and the cost of reaching your goal. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about here? Remember to include special family events, because those family events can cost money. Marriages, anniversaries, birthdays, get-togethers, changes in life circumstances that can have an impact on your budget. And I think you also want to think about your well-being and your safety when you're planning your retirement. So maybe traveling to, some third world countries and inoculations and, the hiking, you don't want to hike Mount Everest probably. So you want to take the safety concept into mind with all of this. And, you really definitely want to consider extended family and financial vulnerabilities. All right. So again, that's kind of part of estate planning. And then finally, I want to wrap up today with tax planning. You want to consider lots of different tax issues that you could have, especially in relationship to legacy, right? Leaving money onto your heirs and how to do it tax efficiently. If you own a business, that's a whole nother set. That could be a separate conversation, but you want to think about how you are going to transition out of your business succession plan, your tax plan with that. A lot of small business owners are relying on their business, the value of their business, to provide that retirement income. Before you do that, you really need to get a business valuation and make sure you understand the likelihood of selling and what you'll sell it for. Many people overestimate the value of their business, so very important to look at that. How is your business structured? all of those things. So important. I have a whole guide on business succession planning. So if you want access to that, just reach out to me. Super important to meet with your retirement advisor if he or she is very good at tax planning with like a certified financial planner. You really want to determine your tax situation prior to retirement and in retirement, right? RMDs, those are going to kick in, right? In your 70s, RMDs are going to kick in. What is that going to do to your taxes? Taking your income from those retirement savings accounts, those can impact things like IRMA, which is the income related monthly adjustment amount, which is a surcharge for Medicare if you're over a certain income. So all these things, that's why a retirement advisor is so valuable to many people, because he or she knows, or should know if it's the right advisor, but they know all of these things and they can help you avoid these blind spots and make sure you don't step in a hole that's hard to recover from. So they are there as your chief financial officer. And in lifestyle, they're gonna make sure they're aligned. You got to align your money and your meaning, but and they'll keep you accountable and they'll keep you from, being nervous. If you have the right plan, it should definitely give you some peace of mind and comfort. But anyway, really important to do that tax planning. And I've got a whole bunch of other there's 2 pages here on tax planning. So really important, actually 3 pages on retirement planning. So you really want to make sure that you've got all of this in place. And, you really want to make sure your financial house is in order. I'm actually doing a Facebook and LinkedIn post about this. Spring cleaning, it's a great time to make sure your financial house is in order with some spring cleaning. And, you really want to make sure that you're going to do this, particularly if you're going to be retiring anytime soon. But reach out to me if you would like to chat about your retirement plan, because I can connect you with a retirement advisor. I can connect you with my retirement education resources, and then I can connect you with my retirement readiness program, which is basically a coaching preparedness program to help you identify everything you have. We take a complete inventory using my software. We walk through figuring out the lifestyle goals, the non-financial parts of retirement. We connect you with e-classes to get you educated about all this stuff so you can make educated decisions and have more informed conversations and can make those ultimate decisions. Because the right guide shouldn't tell you what to do. They should guide you and you decide. And they're going to do it based on data and experience. So important to connect up with those resources. So as I like to say, you can get ready, learning more, getting educated, doing some assessments that I offer. You can get set with some coaching that I offer, going through that complete financial assessment to figure out your gaps, risks, and opportunities. Going through checklists like these, I will guide you through that process so you're not doing it on your own, and making sure you do it, because you get a checklist, you might put it off on, the side of your desk and not look at it and go, oh, shoot, I never looked at that checklist. So we go through all different checklists and hold you accountable and make sure you actually get it done versus just thinking about it. And then after you get ready, get set, you're going to get her done. And the way to do that is to figure out how to create that retirement income for life, get some financial advice, get some insurance advice, get some advice on using your home equity to fund an emergency plan, get help with your insurance, long-term care, estate plan. All of that is so very important, because when you know more, you will have more. When you plan more, you will have more, and you will live more. So if you want some help, reach out to me at lynnt@herretirement.com. And as always, I have a ton of free resources. I have like 119 episodes of my podcast. I have my free masterclass. I'm on TikTok. I have tons of videos that I post up on TikTok. Obviously, here on YouTube, I also post those videos. So there isn't lack of information. But I always say education is one thing. You need to take action. All right. So taking action is actually creating and implementing a plan. And if you need some help with that, definitely reach out to me because I can connect you and we can take that worry off the table. All right. So if you're ready to know more, have more, live more, and get her done, reach out to me. I got you. And thanks for listening. Until next week's Lunch and Learn Live with Lynn, have a great week.